The truth is out, but can their love survive it? Welcome to part 4 of Dangerous Games by Leigh. Leigh, a gripping and emotionally charged finale that brings this unforgettable second-chance romance to a breathtaking conclusion after a whirlwind of secrets, lies, and unresolved emotions. Everything comes to a head. The stakes have never been higher. The truth they've both tried to ignore is now impossible to escape. As past wounds resurface and painful revelations come to light, will love be enough to heal what's been broken? This final installment is a heart-pounding journey through redemption, forgiveness, and the power of unconditional love. It's about confronting the darkness and choosing to fight for what matters most, even when everything feels lost. If you followed their story this far, you know this isn't just a romance. It's raw, it's real, and it's the kind of love that leaves a mark. Press play now and experience the emotional, passionate, and unforgettable conclusion to Dangerous Games. Let the final chapter begin. Chapter 24. As a girl. I often looked forward to the day after a snowstorm, simply so I could admire the beauty of our property, the sun shining brightly off the blanket of white. But today, as I peer at the sunlight reflecting off another snow-covered expanse of wilderness, nothing about it seems bright, the ache in my heart too excruciating. This is the precise thing I'd hoped to avoid. I had a warning after my one night with Asher in Vegas. I knew how difficult it was to walk away after just one night. But did I listen? Of course not. Now I've made matters worse. Now I've spent several nights with Asher. An arm encloses me in the warm embrace that has become my sanctuary, my respite, my home. A heaviness settles in my chest at the thought that this is the last morning we'll wake up together. The last morning we'll have whatever this is. Despite spending all this time together, we haven't discussed what would happen today, other than the fact that we'll drive to the airport, but that's where we'll part ways. He'll get on a flight to LA and hit the studio, now that he's written enough songs for an album, and I'll board a plane to New York, where I'll return to whatever semblance of a life I have left. At least I now have a little cushion with the money Jesse wired into my account, my payment for Asher making his studio date. I glance at the clock on the wall of his bedroom, a lump forming in my throat. My flight leaves in a little more than 5 hours, which means we don't have much time before we need to hit the road. I squeeze my eyes shut, a lone tear trickling down my cheek. Now that the end is here, I want to go back in time, have one more hour, one more minute, one more second. Asher pulls me closer, desperate fingers exploring my body, like a blind man reading Braille. When his lips brush the sensitive skin on my neck, I moan, losing myself in his seductive touch. Right now, I want to live in the present, live in Asher. I don't want to think about what's to come in mere hours when we have to burst our own bubble. It's too painful, too final. He pushes me onto my back, a lock of hair falling in front of his eyes as he peers down at me. His gaze traces over my face, seeming to focus on every mark, every line, every freckle. I want to look away from the pure intensity in his stare, but I can't, still cast under his spell, even more so now that it's about to break. For the first time, I question whether it needs to break. His lips curve into a sad smile as he swipes a tear from my cheek. I love you, he confesses, his voice filled with wonder. I expel a short breath, struggling to come up with any meaningful response. His declaration doesn't come as a surprise. It's the fact he so willingly admits it that catches me off guard. Despite the doubts that have plagued me the past few days, I haven't wavered from my original decision that I couldn't give him more than these rare, stolen moments. I know it's probably the last thing you want to hear, since it will only make matters more confusing. He continues when I don't immediately respond. But I do. Isabella, I love you so fucking much, he chokes out. I search his eyes, racking my brain for something, anything, to say in response, but I fear no words will ever be enough to properly convey the way I feel about him. I meant what I told you in Vegas right before we made love the first time. He pushes a tendril of hair behind my ear, his voice gruff. I never wanted anything my brother had until you. I never loved anything my brother had until you. The vein in his neck throbbing. He frames my face in his hands, his grip steady and determined. The way he holds me, the way he admires me, the way he worships me causes my heart to pound, the hair on my nape to stand on end. You may not believe in love at first sight, and maybe it's not love at that point. His fingers dig harder into my skin, pupils dilating, chest heaving. But I truly believe two souls can feel a connection. Maybe that's all love at first sight is. One soul finding a piece of itself in another. He lowers his mouth to mine, because that's what I felt the second I saw you. I found the missing part of myself. And from that moment forward, I knew you'd be the only woman I'd ever love. He presses his lips more firmly against mine, his kiss so much more charged now that his love is out in the open. There's more meaning, more purpose, more everything. The power in this one kiss erasing every last doubt in my mind that this is the path for me, that Asher is the path for me. I wrap my legs around him, needing him closer, even a breath between us too much. Soon, there will be an entire country between us. Is that really what I want? He softens the kiss, the intensity waning as he gently brushes his tongue against mine before pulling back. I bring my hand to his cheek, running my thumb along the scruff of his unshaven jaw. Asher, I chew on my lower lip. How can I possibly respond to his declaration? In truth, there's only one way to respond. No! He interrupts quickly, silencing me. Don't. I blink repeatedly, confused, but not yet. Why not? I thought I don't only want your love inside this bubble. I need it everywhere. Inside, outside, today, tomorrow. He skims his lips against mine. Forever. I do. I will. The words leave my mouth before I can stop them. But they're true. I'll always love this man, no matter what the future holds. His gaze is measured. Then prove it. How? With a furrowed brow, he contemplates my question, squinting. When he looks back at me, his eyes sparkle. I'll be in New York to talk with the label a week from Wednesday. They have me booked at the Four Seasons. Meet me in the lobby bar, 8 o'clock. The corners of his mouth lift into a small smile. And bring those 3 words with you. Okay. I nod without a single hesitation. Okay. Okay, he repeats, his voice rising in pitch, his surprise apparent. Okay, growling. He crushes his body to mine, consuming me. His kiss fevered and frantic as his hands roam the contours of my frame in sheer desperation. You just made me the happiest man alive. You've made me the happiest woman alive this week. I throw my head back as I savor in the feel of his mouth on every inch of me, the scruff along his jawline biting and bruising. I don't want this to end. It doesn't have to. His lips cover mine, his kiss deep and fulfilling as he circles his hips, bringing his arousal to my core. It never has to end. Never. I whimper as I surrender to him once more, finding peace in my pledge that it won't be the last time, that we can survive outside our bubble, despite the obstacles facing us. 10 days. Asher's words come out as a mix between a promise and a question. Busy travelers rush around us, pulling suitcases, while an overhead announcement calls for passengers to board before they lose their seat. Which will be me soon if I don't hurry up. I thought saying goodbye would be easier with the knowledge that I'll see Asher again soon. But it's not. In fact, I think it makes it hurt even more, since I've realized this is the path I want. That's just 240 hours, 400 minutes, 864,000 seconds. Did you just do all that math in your head? I choke out. He shrugs. I'm a musician. Essentially, music is just math. I blink back my tears, my vision blurring. I suppose it is. We just have to get through the next 10 days. Then it'll be smooth sailing. I blow out a laugh. I have a feeling in 10 days, things will get a lot more complicated. That may be so. He adjusts his stance, bringing my body closer to his. He briefly lifts the sunglasses, which mask his appearance in case any passers-by were to recognize him and blast his photo all over social media. But I'd rather have complicated with you than easy with anyone else. Promise, I barely managed to say. Promise. His lips caress mine, sealing his vow with a kiss. Despair takes over, and he tightens his hold, kissing me with more passion, more magnitude, more longing. I wish I could stay in this moment forever, stay in his kiss forever. I fear the second I break away, it will all be over, despite the assurances we've made to each other. When he brings the kiss to an end, he rests his forehead on mine. Neither one of us cares we're in public where anyone can bear witness to our agony, our heartache, our grief. Let them watch. Let them see what true love looks like. And I'm absolutely certain this is true love. You have to go, he murmurs after a beat. I'm scared. I admit. So am I. But I have to let you go. Only for a few days. He pulls back, cupping my cheeks in his large hands. And then I'm coming for those 3 words. Izzy, you can be damn sure about that. I pull my lips between my teeth to stop my chin from quivering. Then why do I feel like this is the end? He shakes his head. You can't think like that. It's not. I have to believe it's not. We have a plan, and it'll all work out. It has to. There's no reason it won't. Okay, I respond, but I still can't shake this feeling in the pit of my stomach. Okay. He captures my mouth one last time, then steps away, sucking in a quivering breath. I reluctantly turn from him, heading toward the security checkpoint. As I'm about to get into line, I hear him call my name. I glance over my shoulder, heart warming as my gaze falls on my Asher, his soft guitar case slung over his back, hair askew, shoulders drooped. I love you, he mouths. I swipe at a new wave of tears sliding down my cheeks. He wants me to wait to utter those 3 words, but I can at least tell him I feel the same way. Ditto. Chapter 25. I dash out of the cab, the frigid winter air blasting me with a harsh wind. I tug my jacket closer to my body and drop my head as I make my way toward the Italian restaurant in Hell's Kitchen. The instant I step inside, a wall of warmth hits me, the aroma of tomatoes, basil, and garlic filling my senses. It reminds me of Asher. Hell. Everything has reminded me of Asher since I said goodbye to him at the airport 5 days ago. But this memory is particularly poignant. On our last night together, he made one of my favorite meals, gnocchi in a vodka cream sauce. It only makes me miss him even more. We've exchanged the occasional text over the past few days, but they've been innocuous on the off chance Jessie might catch a glimpse of one. Good evening, miss. Do you have a reservation? A polite voice pulls me back to the present. I smile at the pleasant hostess dressed all in black. I believe my mother reserved the private room. The last name is Nolan. Yes, of course. This way. She leads me through the restaurant, the tables crowded together, as is often the case in Manhattan. Patrons dine on beautifully prepared pasta dishes, steaks, and seafood as they sip on wine. It makes my stomach growl. Right in here. The hostess comes to a stop past the long bar lining the wall, gesturing toward a doorway. Thank you. I offer her a smile, then walk into the private room, surprised to see only Chloe sitting at the long table. Where is everyone? Evie's running a little late. So is Nora. She pushes her chair back from the table and stands. And Lincoln. I arch a brow. He's not coming. I blink repeatedly, my heart dropping to my stomach. Did something happen? I whisper. She laughs, shaking her head. No, but I realized something after the last time we spoke. You did. She slowly nods, running her hands down my arms. I lost sight of what's important. You needed me as a friend, and I wasn't there. She pinches her lips together, her expression laced with sincerity. I don't want to become someone who forgets about her friends because I got married. And I'm sorry if I made you feel that way. If we all made you feel that way. You didn't. I insist. We did. She interrupts. Hell. How much time passed before you finally caught my ear long enough to tell me what happened when you saw Jesse? I should have asked you the first time I saw you. I shrug. You'd just gotten married. That was more important than my meeting with my ex. She peers intently at me with her steel gray eyes, but it shouldn't have been. And I promise, I'll do my best not to lose sight of what is important. We all will. Okay. My lips quirk into a smile. Okay. She raises herself onto her toes and wraps her arms around me, hugging me tightly. I bend down to make it easier for her 5'2" frame to meet my 5'7" height. Then she pulls back, grabbing my hand in hers, pulling me to the table. Once we're both seated, she turns to me. So, what did you end up deciding? I chew on my lower lip, trying to reel in my smile. But I can't. I'm actually glad no one else is here yet. It gives me a chance to update Chloe on everything that transpired at the lake house. Meeting her eyes, I admit, I chose my future. Your future. She cocks a brow. Asher? I chose Asher. At first, I was uncertain. What do you mean? I grab the bottle of wine from the table and pour some into the glass in front of me. After swirling the red liquid, I bring it up to my lips, savoring the robust Cabernet. I knew I wanted Asher but couldn't ignore all the reasons it would never work. So I told him all I could give him was what we had in our bubble, when it was just us. And he was okay with that. A grin lights up my face at the memory of his reaction. Cocky bastard saw it as a challenge. She snorts out a laugh. I bet he did. So he said he'd have to find a way to convince me we could have everything outside of the bubble. Too. And did he? I pause, milking the anticipation covering my friend's expression. Her gaze bright, body leaning toward mine, breath held. I believe he did. Her expression widens, mouth agape. He did. I can understand why she'd be so shocked at my response. I was surprised myself. He did. She stares at me for several long moments. Then she practically tackles me to the floor with the strength of her hug. Oh, Izzy, I am so fucking happy for you. You deserve this. You deserve happiness. And we both know Asher has always made you happy, even when that was supposed to be his brother's job. She pulls back, excitement oozing from every inch of the woman who, a year ago, didn't get excited about anything. I suppose love changes you. I can't believe you're dating Asher York. She lowers her voice. Are you dating him? Openly? Not yet. We still have some things to discuss. I can only imagine. She clutches my hand. It will all work out. It has to. She crosses her legs, then leans toward me once more. So, tell me, what made you change your mind? I replay my final morning with Asher. How I woke up convinced it was our last one together. Then how everything changed in the blink of an eye. He told me he loves me. Chloe clasps her hand over mine, squeezing, her eyes brimming with happiness. We all knew he did. He has for a lot longer than you realize. And we all know how much you love him too. So does he. I'm so glad you guys have decided to take this risk. You're soulmates, I think so too. But that's the funny thing. When I went to tell him the same, he stopped me. She straightens, cocking her head to the side. Why? He said he didn't want me to tell him inside our bubble, that I needed to wait until we were in the real world. A furtive stare crosses her face. Then she nods, pushing a few strands of her blonde waves behind her ear. If there's anyone who's proof of how love can change your perspective, it's Chloe. A year ago, she sported gray and lilac ombre hair, a way to mask who she was behind the facade she'd erected. But Lincoln made her realize it was okay to be herself, to be vulnerable. In a way, Asher's done the same thing. He's made me realize that maybe there are some things worth taking a risk for, and maybe I'm worth the risk to him. I can see why he'd do that. Me, too. What happens next? I lean back, lifting my shoulders before allowing them to fall. Once he raps on the album, he'll come to New York to meet with the label. When this coming Wednesday? And she gives me a sideways glance. And I'm to meet him in the bar at the Four Seasons and bring those 3 words with me. That's it. What more is there? Does anything else matter? She covers my hand with hers again, giving me an encouraging smile. It doesn't. I'm glad you finally realized that. Me, too. Sorry we're late, Evie declares, out of breath. Chloe and I pull apart from each other, but not before sharing a look. She arches a single brow, to which I shake my head. That's all she needs to know to keep quiet about Asher. At least for now. I don't mind telling Chloe, but I don't want this to be public knowledge yet. I turn my eyes to the doorway as Evie and Nora rush into the room carrying gift bags. Rising, I scoot around the table and am instantly assaulted by Nora's enthusiastic hug. Happy Adoption Day, she squeals. I told you guys, no gifts. When have we ever listened to that? Evie asks, hugging me when Nora steps back. Never. I roll my eyes. Although I know how you all are with gifts, I doubt these are appropriate for me to open in front of my parents. My friends share a look, Nora cringing slightly. Then she announces, probably not, but I'd sure get a kick out of watching you blush. I hate all of you. No, you don't. Evie sings, you love us. You'd be lost without us. I feign irritation, but it only lasts a few moments. You're right. I would be. Isabella. Mi amor. A husky, accented voice cuts through. I return my attention to the doorway, beaming when I see my parents standing there. Mama. I walk into her outstretched arms. After these past several weeks, this is exactly what I need. A night with the most important people in my life, my parents and my friends. Happy got ya day. Sweetie, she whispers, kissing my cheek. Love you, butterfly. Papa hugs me next, squeezing me tightly. Even as a child, we never celebrated my birthday. My parents explained it was difficult to do anything because of how close to Christmas it was. Instead, they chose to celebrate my birthday on March 5th. It wasn't until I learned I was adopted that I realized the significance of the day. It was the date the judge signed off on my adoption, and I became theirs officially. To them, that was more important than the day I came into this world. And it is to me, too. I pull back, taking a minute to admire my parents. They couldn't be any more opposite if they tried. Papa is the typical all-American boy, or at least he was when he was younger. Fair skin, red hair, tall, muscular body he's maintained, even though it's been decades since he played college football. Mama always said she had a thing for gingers, that she was a goner the second he opened his mouth and asked what she was doing after she got off work. It doesn't sound strange, but considering she was a flight attendant and he was one of her first-class passengers, it's not as commonplace as one would think. I float my gaze to my mama, who doesn't look a day over 40, despite the fact she's over 60. Her olive-toned skin is still relatively wrinkle-free, her dark hair only sporting a few gray hairs. She still has a body any 30-year-old would kill for, evidence she's stayed active throughout her life. She claims she needs to in order to eat all the food she wants, but I know better. She has a restless spirit. I suppose I got mine from her. We don't have to celebrate this. I admonish them. As I've done every year since I turned 18. Oh, hush, she playfully nudges me. We absolutely do. It's the day our family was complete. She holds me at arm's length, and I plan on celebrating it as long as I live. Mi amor. Even after I'm gone, I hope to enlist Chloe, Nora, and Evie to carry on the tradition. She glances over her shoulder, winking at my friends. And you know we will. Mrs. Nolan, Evie offers. I told you. Guinevere, Mama says, refusing to use Evie's nickname. When she'd learned her real name was Guinevere, she insisted on using it. Said it was far too beautiful a name to shorten, which is why she refuses to call me Izzy like everyone else in my life. Call me Victoria. Okay, Victoria, she replies with a smile. Let's sit. Sweetie. Papa clasps my mother's hand in his and leads her to the table. He holds out her chair, then takes the seat next to her. Once we're all situated, Mama looks around, her brows scrunched. Where are your husbands? They're more than welcome, especially yours. Chloe Angel. She leans toward her. I must say, when I got your wedding announcement, I thought I'd made my martini a little too strong. I love you with all my heart, but I never thought I'd see the day you got married. We all felt the same way when we saw her wearing a wedding band. Nora pipes up, You didn't know Mama presses. They eloped. I explain. He took her to Vegas and they got married. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision, Chloe explains. Well, I'm thrilled for you, but you could have brought him. We decided to keep this a girl's day. She meets my eyes, like it's always been. We don't want to lose sight of how important our friendship is because some of us are married. Friends first, always. Mama smiles fondly upon my friends. I'm so grateful you're all in my Isabella's life. She couldn't have asked for a better support group. She raises her glass. Happy Gotcha Day, Isabella. Thanks. Mama? No. Thank you, mi amor. The evening passes quickly as we all stuff ourselves with what my father claims to be the best Italian food in the city. I'd be hard-pressed to disagree. It's no surprise why we return to this restaurant every year for this celebration. It's where my parents first told me I was adopted. At the time, I wondered why they'd tell me something like that in public, not knowing how I'd react. During my childhood, there was no such thing as a trip into the city without coming here. In a way, it's always brought me comfort. It still does. How's the job hunt going? My father asks as we sip our wine. Our dessert plates barely containing any crumbs from the cannoli or tiramisu we scarfed down. I have a few prospects. A number of hospitals have contacted me, but they're not in the city. And you're okay with the severance package. He lowers his voice. You're still able to pay all your bills. Heat washes over my face as I avert my gaze. I'm fine. Papa. I can't shake the feeling he knows I'm not being completely honest. If there's anyone who can get the truth out of me, it's this man. Hell, he's the one I told when I had sex for the first time. Not my mom. He just knows. Clearing my throat, I straighten my spine, needing to change the subject. He doesn't need to know the only reason I'm able to pay my bills is because of the money Jesse paid me to spend time with Asher. There's something I wanted to talk to you about, I say nervously, my eyes floating around the table. To all of you. Of course. Mi amor. Mama replies. What is it? I draw in a deep breath, praying she doesn't take this the wrong way. That neither of my parents take this the wrong way. This is something I need to do. Especially if I hope to have a future with Asher. I need to fill in the missing pieces. And what better day to start this search than the anniversary of when I finally got my forever family? Placing my hands on the table, I steel myself. I want to find my birth mother. The room is still as my words ring out around me. For a moment, it seems like the entire restaurant is quiet. No scraping of forks against plates. No polite conversation. No clanging of ice against glasses. Then my mother stands and rushes toward me, wrapping me in her embrace. Oh, Isabella, this is wonderful news. She pulls back, cupping my cheek with her hand. I look at my father, who who wears a proud expression. For years, they've encouraged me to find answers. Hell, everybody has. I just didn't want my parents to think I didn't appreciate all the sacrifices they've made for me. I hope you find the answers you're looking for. Butterfly, Papa offers. I'm not really looking for answers, I respond, although my voice lacks the conviction I wish it had. It's more curiosity than anything. Mama smiles at me affectionately. There's a part of your past that's missing. Part of your story. It's like picking up a book and starting at chapter 3 or 4. She drops her hold on me, heading back to her chair and sitting. You can probably still enjoy the story, but you'll never fully understand the characters, their motivations, their struggles. You need those missing pages. I realize that now, but to fill in those missing pages, I turn toward Evie and Chloe. I think I might need your help. They peer at me, confused. Our help, Evie asks. Yes. I run my hands along my dress, smoothing the lines. I've tried to do some research on my own, but it's difficult for me to get very far. Not to mention it was 30 years ago. Did you reach out to the adoption agency or child services? Chloe presses. I'm sure they have information that can help. She looks at my parents. Don't they? That's part of the problem. I explain. The circumstances surrounding my adoption are a bit unusual. Unusual, Nora lifts a brow. I glance at my parents, who give me a reassuring nod, before meeting my friends' gazes once more. You were probably all too young to remember, but have you ever read stories about the JFK baby? Nora's brows scrunch together as she shakes her head, which I expected. After all, I was born before her, so she wouldn't have been around to see the headlines splashed across the front page of every paper, the reports on every news station. I only have because of all the research I've done over the years. I shift my attention from Nora, peering at Chloe and Evie. No confusion there, only realization mixed with utter shock. I had no doubt they'd know the story. After all, they both work at a magazine. You're the JFK baby. Chloe exhales, jaw slack, eyes wide. I nod slightly. I am. Holy shit. Evie breathes, her voice growing excited. The magazine has tried to write a story on you nearly every year. We really wanted to this past December, since it was the 30th anniversary of you being found. But child services turned down every request. They said you preferred your privacy, and I did. But if I want answers on who my birth mother is, I need to do this. Need to go public with my identity and hope there's someone out there who can help. I want to know who she is, why she did what she did. I think it will help me finally move on, feel accepted. Realization falls over Chloe's expression as she puts the pieces together about why I feel strongly about this, why I need those missing pages. She reaches across the table and takes my hand in hers, squeezing. You deserve to know where you came from. I agree, Evie offers, placing her hand over ours. We'll do everything we can to help you get those answers. Nora joins in, her hand on top of all of ours. And I'll do whatever I can, too. I'm not a journalist, but I know some killer meditation techniques that can help you push through the stressful moments. We all break out laughing, my heart warming with how supportive my friends are. Thanks, I say with a kind-hearted smile. All of you. Chapter 26. My heart pounds in my chest as I hurry past Central Park, practically running toward the Four Seasons. All day. I haven't been able to stop smiling. I feel like a kid waking up on Christmas morning, rushing down the stairs to see what presents were left beneath the tree. But tonight, I know exactly what gift I'll be unwrapping. A very muscular, seductive gift I plan to enjoy all year long. I make my way through the hotel lobby, everything upscale and shiny. It's still surreal to think this amount of opulence is now a part of Asher's lifestyle, that he's no longer the struggling musician who was happy to get a gig at a hole-in-the-wall bar or pub. I always told him he'd eventually share his music with the world. Now he is. As I step inside the dimly lit lounge, My eyes float around for any sign of Asher. Coming up empty. A few tables are occupied by hotel guests, but other than that, it's not overly busy. I approach the bar and sit in one of the soft bar stools. A bartender with slicked-back blonde hair approaches immediately, his smile congenial. "What can I get you, vodka tonic? Preferably with a Polish vodka. Belvedere." "Okay. Belvedere is perfect." I feel a buzz from my clutch and pull out my cell, unlocking it to see a message from Asher. "Meeting ran late. Stuck in traffic. I promise I'm on my way. Hold on tight. GPS says 20 minutes. Sorry. I love you." My heart warms, a wide grin tugging on my lips. During our few conversations these past 10 days, he's refrained from uttering those words. At first, it made me question whether he still felt the same way, but now, it makes sense. He's saving it for tonight, just like I am. "Do you love him?" A deep voice slurs as the bartender returns with my drink, setting it in front of me. I look up from typing out my response to Asher, meeting the eyes of a man sitting 2 seats over. I estimate him to be in his 30s. Despite his designer suit, he's unkempt, dark hair askew, tie loosened, first few buttons of his dress shirt undone. "Excuse me, the guy you're texting." He nods toward my cell. I quickly click off the screen, abandoning my message. "By the wide smile on your face, I surmise you're talking to someone you're interested in. So, tell me." He angles toward me, the stench of whiskey strong. "Do you love him?" I smooth the lines of the red dress I chose to wear tonight. The same red dress I wore when I met with Jesse mere weeks ago. But Asher deserves the same effort he did. Hell, he deserves more. "I do." He leans back, swaying in his seat. "That's beautiful. He lifts his glass. "Love is a beautiful fucking thing. Isn't it? I believe it is." I look forward again, bringing my drink to my lips, taking a sip. It's strong with a hint of sweetness from the lime. Exactly how I like it. I shift my eyes to the large screen television hanging above the bar. I pretend to be interested in the Rangers game, but I have no interest in hockey. Not right now anyway. "Let me ask you something." Inhaling a calming breath, I turn back to my drunken companion. "What's that?" He peers at me through slanted eyes. "If you found out your brother was dating someone off limits, what would you do?" Wait a minute, he garbles, practically falling off his stool. "Let me rephrase that since you're of the opposite sex. Thank you for noticing. Say you found out your sister was dating someone she shouldn't. How would you react?" I shrug. I don't have a sister, or any siblings, so this is hypothetical. I arch a brow. "That's it." He points to me, his motions slow and lazy due to the amount of alcohol he's consumed. "Hypothetical," he stutters, having trouble pronouncing it. "Say you had a sister who started dating someone she shouldn't. What would you do?" I think I'd need more context before I draw a conclusion. "Okay." He pulls back, nodding. "I get it. Context. Sure, I can give you context. How about this? Say you learned your brother had fallen in love with your ex. My heart plummets, my lungs constricting. And not just that he'd fallen in love with an ex, but your ex-goddamn fiancé. And now the ring she wore was no longer yours, but his. What would you do? Would you be okay standing behind him during their wedding in a few days, telling him it doesn't bother you that he stole your goddamn life?" I bring my glass to my mouth, swallowing a larger gulp than usual. "Is your brother marrying your ex-fiancé?" "Ding, ding, ding, we have a winner," he announces so the entire bar can hear. Then he blows out a labored sigh, his shoulders slumping forward. His Adam's apple bobs up and down as his brows pinch together. Saturday. In just 3 days. 3 fucking days. His grip on his glass tightens to the point where I worry it will shatter in his hands. 3 days, and my brother gets to marry the woman of my dreams. Gets to begin the life I was supposed to have. His voice becomes strained. Is about to start the family I was supposed to start. I listen to his story, unable to ignore the absolute agony in his voice. There are probably extenuating circumstances he's not telling me. After all, there are always two sides to every story. He is at a bar and is rather intoxicated. Perhaps he's struggling with alcoholism, or something else that would justify his ex breaking up with him and marrying his brother. What happened, I ask in a timid voice, although my heart screams at me not to walk away right now. If you don't mind my asking. He shakes his head, swiping at the few tears escaping. That's the fucked up thing. I don't even know. Sure, we had our disagreements. What couple doesn't? He pulls his bottom lip between his teeth, the vein in his neck strained. But I thought she was happy. She showed no sign she wasn't. So this must be recent then, I remark. No. He swallows his last sip of whiskey, then signals the bartender for another one, to which he obliges. I would have considered cutting him off, but based on the occasional thoughtful glances, I get the feeling the bartender sympathizes with him. Maybe he's gone through the same thing, maybe in a cruel twist of fate. I'm surrounded by men whose brothers have run off with their girlfriends. We broke up about 6 years ago. That's good, I tell myself. 6 is less than 9, so it's not the same. Right, I hold on to every difference I can, not wanting to admit I'm sitting next to the future version of Jesse. You and your brother must not be close then. Huh. He exhales a long breath. We're actually very close. He's my goddamn twin. We were born less than 5 minutes apart, and this is what happens. You want to know the worst part? I don't. But my curiosity gets the best of me. What's that? He's a great fucking guy. He makes her happy. But so did I. He punches his chest, the muscles in his face tensing. At least I thought I did. My eyes are unfocused as I stare at the dozens of bottles lining the back wall of the bar in tears. The purple and blue mood lighting from overhead tinting the glass. You and your brother, I begin, clearing my voice to steady it. How are you? With each other. I mean, how do you think we are? He shoots back. I don't know. I answer honestly. Do you think you'll be able to move on from this? Learn to support him because he's happy. If he's your brother, that's all you want, right? For him to be happy, even if it comes at a cost to you. My eyes beg him to give me the answer I'm desperate for. He pinches the bridge of his nose as he shakes his head. He's my brother. Of course I want him to be happy. He draws in a trembling breath, but he stabbed me in the back. Any other girl. He raises his voice. He could have chosen any other girl, yet he chose the one he knows I still love. The girl he knows I'd still do anything to give my last name to. A sarcastic laugh rips from his throat. Well, I guess she'll still have my last name. It just won't be because of me. He throws back his glass, finishing his drink in one gulp. Then he slams the tumbler onto the bar, pushing out of his chair. He staggers before correcting himself. Once he's more sure of his footing, he buttons his suit jacket, doing his best to appear composed. Thank you for listening. I'm off to a family dinner where I have to pretend this entire scenario isn't ripping my heart to shreds. He pulls several large bills from his wallet, then spins on unsteady legs. He only makes it a few steps before I call out, "Excuse me." He slowly faces me, barely able to keep his eyes open. I want to tell him he should probably skip the dinner. I have a feeling it won't end well. Yes. How's your family with all of this? We were close. But now, he exhales deeply. This has destroyed our family. We'll never be the same again. You don't think you'll forgive him, that you'll become a family again? I don't see how. The only reason I'm here now is because my grandfather is in his 90s and this is probably his last opportunity to be with the entire family. He shrugs. I figure it's best he go out on a high note, thinking we still get along. But we don't. I nod as I process this story that hits a little too close to home. When I don't immediately say anything, he turns, waving as he heads from the bar. I try to convince myself this encounter doesn't mean anything. That the fact he was sitting in a bar where I was about to meet my own ex-fiancé's brother is irrelevant. It's just a coincidence. It's not a warning of what's to come. There's no hidden meaning. Right. I tap my fingers against the bar top, my leg bouncing, heart racing. When my phone buzzes, I dart my eyes to it, a spike of adrenaline pumping through me when I see Jesse's name on the screen. We've barely spoken more than a few words to each other since I left the lake house, mostly because of the guilt I felt once I'd slept with Asher. Why would he be calling now? With shaky hands, I bring the phone up to my ear. Hey, Jesse. There you are. You've been impossible to get a hold of lately. Sorry, I reply in a soft voice. I've been busy. Family stuff. Everything okay? The authenticity in his tone makes my stomach churn. Great. I grit out. Everything's great. When he doesn't say anything for several excruciatingly long moments, I ask, Is there a reason you called? I'm in New York. I know. You do crap. Well, Asher mentioned something about coming to New York. I fumble. Something about the label. It's not a lie. Asher did mention Jesse was here. He's silent for a moment, and I swear my heart can be heard over the club music playing in the bar. We had a meeting earlier today to discuss his promo tour. I thought since I was in town, I'd see if you wanted to get together. There's a great bar in the lobby of the Four Seasons. I can meet you there in a bit. I shoot out of my chair, frantically looking around. Where are you? Just getting back to the hotel. But if there's somewhere more convenient? My pulse skyrocketing. I hail the bartender and signal him for the check. I can't be here if Jesse walks in. What the hell was Asher thinking? Why would he ask me to meet him here if he knew there was a risk of Jesse seeing us? Maybe he doesn't care if Jesse finds out. And maybe I shouldn't, either. But I just had a glimpse into my future. Into Asher's future. The risk is too great. I've now seen that with my own eyes. Seen what we'll do to Jesse if we continue down this road. Is Asher with you? Nah. Said he had a few errands to run after our meeting. Said something about getting a haircut. I'm pretty sure that's code for a booty call. We both know Asher's not one for cutting his hair. So it'll just be us. He lowers his voice. The sound of the busy New York sidewalk audible in the background. I'd really like to see you. The bartender leaves my check, and I yank several bills from my wallet. I appreciate the offer, but I have a lot going on. I knew it was a long shot. Just figured I'd give it a try. I'll always try with you. I focus my attention at the hotel lobby as a familiar silhouette dressed in a crisp suit strides through the front doors. His steps lack the confidence they normally have. His shoulders slumped. Maybe some other time I offer as consolation, although I have no intention of following through. Sure. Sounds good. Have a nice evening. Jesse. Bye. I wait until the elevator doors close with him inside, then frantically pull on my jacket. Taking off, the bartender asks as he dries a martini glass with a towel. Yes, I say breathily. I have to go. Thought you were meeting someone. At least I assumed you were. Was I? I stammer. I don't think it's going to work out. I spin on my heels. I know this is childish and immature, but Asher has a knack for convincing me to stay. To give him a chance. I can't face him. Can't fall under his spell. Want me to give him a message? The bartender calls after me. I halt in my tracks, facing him. Excuse me. A message, in case someone walks in looking for you. I press my lips together, contemplating. I'm about to tell him no when an idea pops into my head. Do you have any notebook paper? I do. I head back to the bar, taking the piece of paper he holds out. I grab a pen and scribble down one word before folding it into an origami dove. Once I'm content with it, I hand it to the bartender. If you see a man with dark hair, beautiful brown eyes, and an unshaven jawline, can you? I trail off, my voice catching. Can you give him this? Any message. This is the message. Are you sure? Is it that obvious? I don't want to go down this path, but don't have any other choice. Choice. My conversation with Chloe a few weeks ago replays in my mind. That's all it comes down to. Living in the past or looking toward a future. Once you decide that, your answer will be clear. By going to Asher, I thought I was choosing my future. In a way, I was. But I'd forgotten about his future. So tonight, that's what I choose. Even if it breaks my heart, I am. I give him a sad smile, then hurry out of the bar, holding my breath until I'm safely in a cab. I only make it a few blocks before my phone lights up with an incoming text. "Where are you? I'm in the bar." Pain shoots through me, the lump in my throat agonizing. I never should have agreed to entertain this fantasy of his. Hell, I never should have slept with him in the first place. A few more text messages appear, all growing more and more urgent. When my cell rings, I know the bartender must have given him the dove, especially when he continues to call throughout my cab ride to Chelsea, relentless in his need to talk to me. After paying the driver, I step onto the sidewalk and toward Chloe's building. I press the buzzer for her apartment, praying she's home and will answer. I need her tonight. Need to be with someone who will understand why I did what I did. I type out a quick text to make sure. "It's me. Let me up." Within seconds, the door clicks. I grab it, dashing into the elevator and riding up to the apartment she now shares with Lincoln, ignoring the constant dinging of my phone. When I emerge onto her floor, she's waiting in her doorway, brows wrinkled. The instant her eyes fall on me, understanding washes over her. She opens her arms, and I walk into them, sobs racking through me as I relish in my best friend's embrace. She holds me while my cell continues vibrating with a mixture of calls and messages, each one causing my heart to crack even more until all that's left are millions of pieces. "Come on, An arm wrapped around me. Chloe brings me into the apartment, closing the door behind us. When Lincoln sees us, he gets up from the couch, a questioning look on his face. Chloe shakes her head, silently telling him not to press the subject. Thankfully, he doesn't, excusing himself to his office, giving us some privacy. I probably shouldn't have come here, considering Lincoln and Asher were college friends and still stay in touch. I know Chloe, though. She'll make sure Lincoln doesn't say anything if Asher were to reach out to him. She leads me to the couch, and we sit in silence, staring blankly at the black screen of the TV, tears steadily falling down my cheeks. Finally, Chloe's voice cuts through. "You look like you could use a drink." I laugh through my sobs. I absolutely could. She squeezes my thigh. "You got it." Standing, she heads into the kitchen just as my phone pings yet again. I chance one last look at the screen, my heart shattering when I see the anguish in Asher's last text. It doesn't matter, it's just words typed out. I can feel his desperation. "Please, Isabella, don't do this. I'm begging you. It's not supposed to end this way. You're my heart. I can't go on without my heart. I love you." With a trembling hand, I bring up Asher's contact in my cell, staring at it. "Ditto." I choke out. Then I block his number. I wish I could have given him a clean break, but we both knew there would never be anything clean about this. It's better I make him hate me before we get in too deep, before we hurt someone we both care about. This is the right path. It has to be. Because if it's not, what did I just do? Chapter 27, Art H to Izzy. Chloe's voice registers in my brain, snapping me out of my daze. I rip my eyes away from the TV in the corner of Lincoln's home office, returning my attention to the papers spread across the table in front of us. Over the past few months, as we've worked on discovering who my birth mother was, we've turned this into a war room, so to speak. Evie and Chloe had hoped to put the puzzle pieces together and find my birth mother before publishing the article on the JFK baby. That didn't happen. As expected, they hit dead end after dead end, even enlisting Lincoln's help, who recruited some of the top investigative reporters at the paper, hadn't uncovered anything. It's like my mother vanished, feeling like we were out of options. We went ahead and ran a public interest piece 3 weeks ago. The JFK baby 30 years later. We'd hoped by plastering it all over the internet, it might encourage people with information to message an email address the magazine set up. Unfortunately, most of those tips turned out to be baseless, just someone looking for their 15 minutes of fame. Are you okay? Chloe narrows her gaze on me before floating her eyes to the television. I can't help but look at it again, watching Asher perform on one of the afternoon talk shows. With the release of his album last month, his star grew bigger and bigger. Now I can barely go a day without hearing or reading his name somewhere. His music is everywhere, as it should be. It doesn't make it any easier, though, doesn't make me reconsider whether I made the right decision in walking away. Doesn't stop me from imagining what my life would look like had I stayed in the bar that night. Fine. Great. Perfect. I answer quickly, grabbing a bunch of papers and pretending to read them, although all the words seem to blur together. I sip on my coffee, hoping it will help clear my mind, but nothing seems to. It hasn't in months. Despite this focus on finding my birth mother, as well as my new job at an outpatient cancer clinic here in the city, Asher still consumes most of my thoughts. Will it always be this way? You know, you can come tomorrow. Coffee spews out of my nose and I cough several times before flinging my wide eyes to Chloe. What are you talking about? I choke out. Tomorrow night. His concert. You should come with us. It's the start of the tour. You deserve to be there. He wouldn't have had an album to tour if it weren't for you. I avoid her eyes, grabbing a napkin and dabbing coffee off the papers. He would have eventually. You don't know that. Just like I don't know he wouldn't have. It's okay. It's better this way. For whom, Asher? Or you? This is the first time Chloe has pushed the topic of Asher since the night I appeared at her door, a crying mess. In the months that followed, he'd attempted to reach out to me through email. When that turned futile, he'd sought Lincoln's help, who'd remained neutral, not wanting to get involved. If Asher knew where I lived, he probably would have shown up at my apartment. Thankfully, it never came to that. I surmise he must have accepted that I didn't want to talk to him, the calls to Lincoln and emails to me having dwindled, becoming non-existent once his album dropped. For Asher, I argue with a hushed tone so my voice doesn't carry into the hallway and throughout the apartment. I did what was necessary for Asher. What I did, if that's what you need to tell yourself, is, do you think I wanted to walk away from him again? There had to be a reason he asked me to meet him in that bar, where I'd run into a man who'd been through the same thing we were about to do to Jesse. It put everything into perspective, made it all too real, and Asher would eventually realize it wouldn't work. He'd go on with his life, enjoying fame and fortune, while I struggled to put the pieces of my life back together. I can't do that to myself again. And there it is. Her tone is laced with a hint of superiority. I cock a brow, staring intently at her. Your real reason for walking away. I told you. It was so Asher wouldn't make a decision he'd come to regret. Chloe shakes her head, angling toward me, eyes on fire. You can't bullshit a bullshitter. Don't forget. I went through the same thing with Lincoln. Convinced myself I did what I had to in order to protect him. But you know the real reason I pushed him away, because your feelings for him scared you shitless. You worried when all the obstacles to your relationship were removed, it wouldn't be the same, that he'd no longer want you. Chloe places her hand on my bicep, and I raise my gaze to hers. More or less. She smiles before her expression turns serious once more. But trust me, you have nothing to worry about. I saw the way he looked at you in Vegas. That was over a year ago. I also saw the way he looked at you while you dated his brother. Jesse certainly never looked at you that way. It doesn't matter. He can look at me like his heart physically can't beat without me. And he does. That doesn't change anything. I will always be his brother's fiancée. Not ex, but fiancée. I can't change that. I can't go back and rewind the clock. If I could, you know damn well I would. Maybe I would have grown some cojones and walked up to the hot lead singer I couldn't get enough of, but I didn't. I stayed in my corner and worshipped him from afar. I tried to be happy with Jesse, although I knew something was missing. Then why don't you go after that something missing? Tell him you made a mistake, that you're finally ready for whatever this is, that you're ready to take a risk. I consider her question. Why don't I go to him? Jesse did send me passes to the concert tomorrow night. I could very easily go, talk to Asher, but I'm not sure that's how our story is supposed to go. Not with everything that's at stake. I need some sort of assurance or divine intervention telling me this thing with Asher is worth the eventual destruction we'll cause. I need a sign. I explain. She gives me a questioning look, eyes scrunched together. A sign. Then she blows out a laugh. You've been spending too much time with Nora. We only got together in Vegas because of chance. And chance brought us back together a few months ago. Granted, it was in the shape of Jesse, or Grams, but still. Had they not intervened, we never would have seen each other again. And I walked away because of chance. Because of the strange coincidence of meeting a man whose ex was about to marry his brother. I could be wrong, but with everything that's at stake, I need a sign we're meant to be together. If we all left everything up to chance, we'd never live. Sometimes you have to take the wheel and go the direction you want to go. That may be true. A smile curves my lips, my eyes shining with nostalgia. But do you know what Graham said my first night at the lake house this winter? What's that? That true love is like a boomerang. You can run, but it will find you. Maybe that's what I need in order to know this is real, that it's worth the risk. I need the boomerang to come back. Chloe expels an exasperated sigh. Sometimes I wish you weren't so goddamn stubborn. If it were me and there was amazing sex on the line, I'd be lacing up my running shoes and waiting for them to fire that dang starting pistol. I shake my head, grateful for the break in tension. And that's a big deal for you. You hate running. Good sex is worth it. She winks. Worth what? A deep voice cuts through, and we look up to see Lincoln hovering in the doorway. His tall frame fills the space as he leans against the door jamb, his arms crossed. He wears his usual jeans and blazer, his dark hair well groomed, as it usually is, his jaw sporting a bit of scruff, torturing myself with a run. She cranes her head back as he approaches, treating her to a sweet kiss. That's certainly saying something. You hate running. That's what I said. I offer. Hopefully that good sex isn't with some other man. I'm not sure I'm cut out for prison. No way. Baby, you keep me more than satisfied. Her eyes skate over him, a devilish glint within. On that note, I start to push out of my chair. I'm going to head out. You don't have to, Chloe protests. It's fine. I need to run by the store anyway. Actually, if you have a minute, there's something I'd like to show you, Lincoln interjects. What is it? I lower myself back into my chair, his serious tone giving me pause. One of our reporters sat down with a body language expert on an unrelated story. Decided to show her the video footage from that day at the airport to see what she could pick up from your birth mother. An expert in body language. Is there such a thing? There's an expert in almost everything these days. He sits in the chair beside me and pulls his laptop out of his messenger bag, setting it on the table. Chloe scoots out of her chair, heading around and peering over Lincoln's shoulder. He brings up a video file and hits the spacebar. You've seen this before, he states as surveillance footage displays the busy terminal at JFK. This was part of the problem investigators ran into when they'd originally tried to figure out what happened. The sheer number of people prevented anyone from getting a clear picture. The first thing our expert noticed was how anxious your birth mother was. He points to the screen, and I watch a woman sit in a chair in a gate area. Look how she repeatedly bounces her leg. She keeps her head lowered and the hood of her sweatshirt pulled up, but you can still notice her head constantly moving, as if keeping tabs on her surroundings. Probably to make sure no one would notice when she dumped me. Lincoln pauses the video, blowing out a breath as he lifts his gaze to mine. I don't think that's it. I don't think she had a choice but to leave you behind. I furrow my brow. I don't look at this. He hits play again. We watch a few more seconds. Then Lincoln freezes the video again. Instead of sitting in a slumped position as she had been, her spine is straight. Right there. She saw something. I murmur. Our expert thought so. 2. Lincoln continues the video. I can almost feel my mother's eyes darting around, although I can't make out any of her facial features with the hood pulled over her head. Now, watch this. I squint, observing my birth mother remaining completely still, apart from her shoulders. Our expert opined she was taking several deep breaths to calm herself before making her move right. About now. At that instant, she gingerly raises herself from the chair, her motions slow, as if not to draw any attention. She places a hand on my head where it stuck out from the baby carrier attached to her body, then bent over to pick up a black duffel bag. She maneuvered through the gate area, glancing over her shoulder briefly before continuing in the opposite direction. The camera angle changes to a different view, so she went to the ladies' room. We knew that. Yes, but look at this. I refocus my eyes on the screen as she disappears into the bathroom. Only a few seconds go by before 2 men dressed in black approach. They appear as if they're about to stroll right in when a member of airport security walks up to them, directing them to the men's room instead. Assuming they were looking for the bathroom, not someone inside the bathroom, they appear to thank him, then head in the direction he pointed. I've seen all this before. I argue. I know, Lincoln says, but stay with me on this. Trust me. I nod, returning my attention to the screen, watching the time code tick by. Then a figure emerges from the bathroom, the hood still hiding her face. We didn't pick up on this before because of how grainy the video was. It's still pretty grainy, Chloe comments. Yes, but it's a lot cleaner than it was. Watch. He points to the woman as she seems to draw in more deep breaths, as evidenced by the substantial rise and fall of her shoulders. Then she turns toward the water fountain, bending down to take a sip. Right here. He slams down the spacebar, pausing the video. I'm not sure I understand. She's not holding your head. Before, when she had to bend to pick up that duffel bag, she made sure to support your head, even though the angle was slight. But here, he uses his finger to circle my birth mother bent over the water fountain. She's bent even more, yet not holding on at all. And look what's missing. The duffel bag, that's what I was found in, wrapped in blankets with my head peeking out. This doesn't prove anything. It could have been part of her plan all along. Maybe she stuffed a baby doll into the duffel bag to make sure I'd fit when she ditched me, I argue. Although I'm less and less confident of my original belief, I can see why you'd think that. But keep watching. Lincoln hits the spacebar again and the video resumes. I watch as she walks away from the bathroom. When she's almost out of view, I notice her stop. I squint, seeing the 2 men who'd tried to walk into the bathroom approach her. She doesn't fight, doesn't resist, nothing. Instead, she places her hand on what I can only assume to be a doll's head, bouncing and soothing it. She's pretending I'm still in there. I murmur. It appears that way. So she's still dumped me in the bathroom. We're still no closer to figuring out who she was. No, but I think we're closer to finding out why. She was trying to keep you safe. Our body language expert agreed. I think your mother was on the run, as evidenced by her obvious anxiety as she sat in the gate area. We were able to track down flight schedules for Christmas of that year. The flight leaving from that gate was headed to Toronto, Canada. It was delayed by over an hour. I think she was running from someone. Maybe an abusive boyfriend. He narrows his gaze. Maybe something much worse. I think she prepared for the possibility of getting caught, which was why she had that doll in her bag. Once she ditched you, it was only a matter of time until someone would alert the authorities to an abandoned baby. She had a very short window of opportunity to get herself and those 2 men out of the airport, which was why she didn't fight. In fact, our expert thinks she intentionally let them approach, then proceeded out of the terminal with them. As you know, after that, the trail goes cold. My brain spins as I process this story, toiling it over in my mind. It seems like a stretch. Doesn't it? I glance over my shoulder at Chloe, who is typically the cynical one. Actually, he might be right. And I'm not just saying that because I'm married to him. If your birth mother didn't want you, why would she have gone through all the trouble of wrapping you in blankets, and why ditch you in an airport? But the flight manifest. If Lincoln's theory is right, there should have been someone on it who forfeited her seat when she didn't board on time. That didn't happen. We've combed through the police interviews of everyone on that manifest, including those who missed the flight and forfeited their seat. Every single one checked out. Chloe shakes her head. It could have been tampered with. Would someone really do that? You'd be surprised what some people would do to cover up the truth. But what truth? That's what we're trying to find out. Lincoln squeezes my hand, giving me a reassuring look. Trust me, there's a story here, and I won't stop until we get to the bottom of it. Chapter 28. My mind reels as I sift through the witness interviews. Were conducted as part of the investigation into my birth mother. I've lost count of the number of times I've read these over the past several hours. I keep hoping to find something, anything that will tell me whether Lincoln is right. A part of me wants him to be. I like the idea that my birth mother didn't abandon me because she didn't want me, which is what I've told myself since I learned I was adopted. But another part of me thinks his theory is too far-fetched to be real. My phone ringing cuts through, and I tear my eyes away from the papers, Nora's name popping up on the screen. "Hey," I answer. "I need a date," she replies without a greeting. "Sorry, you're not my type." And I don't put out, "Ha, ha, ha." Seriously, is, you, me, and a new club in the village. One of my clients is doing the PR for it. Got me on the guest list. I don't want to go alone, so I called you. Did you only call me because I'm single? I prop my phone up to my ear with my shoulder, flipping through the papers in front of me, half listening, half reading. No. Well, yes, but that's not the only reason. I only have a +1, not a +3. Then shouldn't you take your +1? There's a slight pause before she whines. Come on. There are free drinks? You need a night away from trying to put together the puzzle pieces of your life. I love you, but this whole search is consuming you. Don't get me wrong. If I were trying to solve a 30-year mystery, it would probably consume me too. But I want some time with my friend. I close my eyes, blowing out a long breath. Since I started down this proverbial rabbit hole, I've been obsessed with learning the truth. In a way, it helps distract me from everything else in my life, namely Asher York. Then again, I've allowed it to distract me from other parts of my life, too, like my friends. Maybe a night out is exactly what I need. Fine, I'll be your +1. Yay! She cheers excitedly. I'll text you the address. Meet me at 11. 11. So late. God, I sound old. A few months ago, I'd consider 11 early, but that was before I started working a 9-to-5 job. Yes, Izzy. 11, of our little circle. You're the last one I thought would consider that late. Okay, I'll be there. You'd better, or I'll hunt you down. I do know where you live. See you soon. I sing, then end the call before dragging myself into the shower. A few minutes past 11, my Uber pulls up in front of a nondescript brick building in Greenwich Village. A line of people waiting to get into what appears to be the newest hotspot in town snakes around the block. I step onto the sidewalk, looking up and down the street for any sign of Nora's strawberry blonde hair. It doesn't take me long to spot her as she waves me over. There you are, she exclaims as I approach. I thought you were standing me up. Never. We exchange hugs. You clean up good. She scans my fitted black dress. I figured since I spend most of my time in scrubs, may as well wear something sexy. And with the slit going up my thigh and the way the dress pushes up my chest, It definitely qualifies as sexy. Guys won't be able to take their eyes off you. You're not so bad yourself, I comment, gesturing to her simple V-neck green dress she paired with leopard print heels. Thanks. Now, let's go drink for free. She loops her arm through mine. I like the sound of that. She leads me toward a large man standing by a roped-off area and gives him her name. He checks his clipboard, then pulls back the rope, allowing us to enter. The instant we step inside, I'm taken by surprise at my surroundings. I expected a dark club with thumping music, girls wearing dresses that don't leave much to the imagination. Instead, it's more low-key and laid back. Small tables fill the area, the focal point a stage against the far wall where a small ensemble plays jazz. Where's Jeremy tonight, I ask. Once we're shown to a table in a separate VIP area, and a waitress returns with our drinks. I take a sip of my vodka tonic, lowering it when I notice her hesitant expression. She chews on her lower lip as she seems to look everywhere but at me. Nora he's gay, she blurts out as the song comes to an end. Silence seeming to ring through the room. Or maybe it feels that way because of my complete and utter shock. Her admission echoes around us until the audience finally claps. I join in, albeit half-heartedly, as I lean toward her. What do you mean Jeremy's not gay? I have no problem with anyone who is, but I know it's crazy, especially considering how we met. Why the hell would he be on Tinder looking to hook up with a woman if he's gay? She throws back her rocks glass filled with a dark liquid, practically finishing it before returning it to the table. Tonight now makes sense. Why she was so desperate to have me agree to come. She needed someone to talk to. Sure, she could have confided in Chloe or Evie. But they're married. There's something to be said about commiserating with single people about relationship troubles. I haven't felt things were right for a while. I thought it was all in my head. That it was because we were both working so much. About a month ago, I decided to surprise him when he was out of town on a business trip. Called his assistant and got all his travel information, including the hotel where he was staying. Unfortunately, I was the one who ended up being surprised when he answered the door to his room, fresh from a shower. A man in a similar state of undress sitting on the mussed-up bed. Oh, Nora. And the funny thing, he was so sweet about it. I want to be mad at him, but I can't. He still lied to you, still went behind your back. That's what I thought at first, too, until I put myself in his shoes. You've met his family. They're conservative. I snort a laugh. Calling them conservative is putting it mildly. When I went to Hawaii for their wedding, Jeremy's parents constantly asked me to clear their plates or fetch them a drink, mistaking me for the waitstaff because of the tone of my skin. It took every ounce of resolve I possessed to bite my tongue at the constant comments of all Mexicans look the same to me. I can imagine how they'd react if they knew their son wasn't straight. It broke my heart to hear him talk about how miserable he'd been. Nora continues, but if he were miserable, why did he go on Tinder in the first place? And why would he ask you to marry him? He hoped he'd get used to being with a woman. But it doesn't work that way. You can't just flip the switch. I shift my attention forward, nodding in rhythm with the music. I'd always thought Nora and Jeremy had the perfect relationship. She was the first of our circle to get engaged, then married. They both appeared so happy. Maybe not everything is as it seems. What are you going to do, I ask after a while. I'm filing for divorce. Jeremy is agreeable. He doesn't plan on contesting anything. So unless there are any surprises, I'll be Nora Tremblay again by Labor Day. I'm sorry, I offer, covering her hand with mine. Don't be. She smiles sadly. It's part of life. At least I got a great friend out of it. Despite everything, Jeremy will always be a friend. She pushes out a laugh that borders on being a sob. I now have a gay best friend. I just didn't think that gay best friend would also be my ex-husband. She tilts back her glass, swallowing the last of her drink. Look on the bright side, I begin, my voice bright in an effort to lighten the mood. Now you can enjoy all the eye candy here with me. I gesture to a couple of tall, well-dressed men standing by the bar, obviously checking us out. Hell, you can even take one home if you really wanted. I'm not sure I want anyone else, Nora says. Not yet, anyway. It's more important I fall in love with myself again. I give her a sympathetic smile, squeezing her hand, a silent encouragement. Nora's imminent divorce from Jeremy hits me harder than it should. On the outside, they were the picture-perfect couple. I honestly thought they'd be one of those couples who died together when they were old and gray. Instead, Nora's filing for divorce before they even hit their one-year wedding anniversary. It makes me wonder whether any couple can really survive. Thank you. A gravelly voice comes over the speakers after the band finishes another number. It almost reminds me of Louis Armstrong. Low, raspy, soulful. You're a fantastic group of people, but this party's just getting started. Next up, we have a little surprise, a last-minute addition. A man who got his start studying the blues, and you can hear it in his music to this very day. Give it up for the one, the only. Asher. York. I stiffen, my wide eyes shooting to the stage, where I see a ruggedly handsome man emerging. He nods in acknowledgement of the warm welcome, but doesn't smile enthusiastically. That's never been his style. His stage presence is more aloof, mysterious, sexy. Are you okay? Nora presses, her hand covering my forearm. I rip my gaze from the stage, meeting her curious stare. I never told her or Evie about Asher. They weren't part of my life when I was engaged to Jesse, so they'd have no reason to know about Asher. The only person who does is Chloe. I part my lips, a deer caught in the headlights, uncertain how to explain why I'm this on edge over the fact that one of the top musical acts in the country is mere feet away from me. I'm fine. I plaster on a fake smile, but it doesn't assuage her suspicion. Just surprised someone like Asher York would be here. I flounder, unable to shake the heat of Nora's stare studying my every move. Thank you, Asher says into the microphone. A stagehand approaches with a black acoustic electric guitar, and Asher takes it. After slinging it over his body, he plays a quick chord to check the tuning before stepping back up to the microphone. This is a great little club, isn't it? The audience erupts in cheers and whistles, except me. I remain frozen in place, soaking up every single syllable he utters. The owner, Guy Fredrickson, has a similar club up in Boston, which is where I grew up. In Boston music circles, it is the club, the place you want to play if you're going to be somebody. And I desperately wanted to be somebody. I must have sent him a new demo every week, begging to play in his club. You know what he told me? He pauses, a nostalgic smile lighting up his eyes. I should leave before Asher realizes I'm here, but I'm transfixed, mesmerized by the way he tells a story, how comfortable he looks in front of all these people. Granted, it's not remotely close to the size of the audience he'll play in front of tomorrow night, but this place can still easily hold several hundred people. A far cry from the basement bars where drunk men shouted for his band to play Freebird. He told me if I wanted to play his club, I needed to find my soul. I thought that meant playing the blues, like he does so very well. So I studied the blues, watched the greats play, listened to it for days, months, wrote my own stuff. After a while, I was absolutely certain he'd book me. I knew the blues. Up, down, left, right, inside, outside, put all the elements of the quintessential blues song into my work, too. And yet, he tilts his head, pausing briefly. He said no. He chuckles slightly. Everyone joining in. I can't help but laugh myself. Next time I dropped off a demo, he pulled me aside. He said, "Kid," he mimics a rough voice, pretending to wrap his arm around imaginary shoulders. "Let me give you a piece of advice. You don't play the blues play you." That's right, a man from the crowd yells in agreement. At first, I thought he was just a little tipsy. If any of you know Guy, you know he likes his coffee strong and his whiskey neat, sometimes at the same time. But he went on to explain. He told me I hadn't yet mastered the blues because I'd never experienced a soul-crushing loss, because I'd never hit rock bottom, because I'd never experienced love. In an instant, the atmosphere in the room shifts. It's no longer one of nostalgia and appreciation for the man who made tonight possible. It's more solemn. I couldn't believe my ears. I was convinced I'd experienced all of that. I'd lost a dear friend in high school. A sad smile builds on his mouth. I loved her like a sister. I didn't think anything could possibly top that feeling of absolute agony. When I wrote my music, I returned to that place, those memories, those feelings. But still, Guy told me it wasn't enough. I hate to say it, but he was right. Losing this friend wasn't the soul-crushing loss I thought it was. Since then, I've experienced another loss. A deeper loss. A hush falls over the crowd, not so much as the clanking of ice against glass sounding in the club. Everyone on the edge of their seats to learn the rest of his story. You'd probably think once my music got radio time and I started selling out stadiums, Guy would have no problem booking me at one of his clubs. He laughed slightly, shaking his head. Well, you're wrong. Because he still refused. Said I still hadn't found my soul. Until I sent him a demo of this song about a week ago. I guess it changed his mind because he called me up, with no greeting. He said the words I've been waiting to hear out of his mouth for over 10 years. Son, the blues finally found you. He scans the crowd. I tense, worried he'll notice me, but his gaze never reaches me. This is throw away my love. He steps back from the microphone, the lights dimming on the stage. Apart from a lone spotlight shining on him, I hold my breath as his fingers find their position on the frets, and he brings the pick up to the strings. Then the sound of a simple, sparse melody comes forward, like a whisper at first, before it vanishes. When his voice fills the room, there's a collective sigh as the tension rolls off everyone. I lean closer, grasping onto every single one of his beautiful lyrics. But in that beauty is pain, is heartache, is soul-crushing agony. He sings of being cold, despite the sunlight bathing him, of feeling poor, despite his lavish house and furnishings, of feeling alone, despite being surrounded by people who call him a friend, all because the woman he'd risk it all for threw away the greatest gift he could give her, his love. I search my memory for this song being on his latest album. I was there when he penned each of them. This isn't one of them, which can only mean one thing: he wrote it after I walked away. Oh God. I cover my mouth with my hand to hide my trembling chin as the lyrics dig their way into the very depths of my soul. I've seen Asher perform more times than I can count. I've always found myself hypnotized by the raw emotion he's able to evoke so easily from the crowd. But I've never experienced this, like I can physically feel his heart being ripped from his chest and displayed in front of him while it still beats. I wonder if that's what it felt like when he walked into that bar and was handed an origami dove. As the final note rings out, the entire place is still as they process the magic they just experienced. The anguish, the despair, the unmistakable heartache. Then everyone simultaneously jumps to their feet. The applause thunderous. It's true. This song is evidence of the fact that the blues found Asher. Because of me. I snap my eyes to Nora, frantic. Can we go? I ask with a quiver, tears streaming down my cheeks. She studies me for a moment, 1,000 questions swirling in her gaze. But instead of pushing the topic, she nods. Of course. We push through the throng of people standing and cheering. I keep my head down, not wanting to draw attention to myself. But when a heat prickles my nape, I slow my steps, despite my brain telling my body to keep going, to not look back. I do. When I glance at the stage, despondent brown eyes lock with mine. I don't know how long I stand here, unable to move. Could be hours, could be seconds. All I know is I've never seen Asher so lost. Then an icy stare washes over him, sending a chill down my spine. It's unlike any look he's ever given me. I deserve it. Deserve his hatred, his animosity, his disgust. It's what I wanted, but it still hurts. My lips parting. I shake my head, wishing he could read the warring thoughts in my mind. But he can't. So I simply mouth, "I'm sorry," then follow Nora out of the club. Chapter 29. "Are you sure you'll be okay?" Nora asks, walking me to the door of the Union Square apartment she once shared with Jeremy. Most of his things are gone, a reminder of how fleeting everything in this world can be. After we made our escape from the club, we came back here, where I finally told her everything, my engagement to Jesse, the reason I broke it off, my one night in Vegas with Asher, Jesse reaching out in January, his proposition, spending 2 weeks with Asher up at the lake house, why I walked away. She didn't judge, didn't tell me I made a mistake. She simply encouraged me to follow my heart. I wish I knew which direction my heart was heading. "I'll be fine. Text me when you get home, I will." I give her a hug, then make my way out of her building and emerge onto the sidewalk. As I keep an eye out for the Uber I'd ordered, I relish in the peacefulness, the streets that are normally packed with cars, much less populated after 2 in the morning. So instead of waiting for my ride that's a few minutes away, I cancel it, taking this opportunity to walk through the city I love. I'm not sure how much time passes as I wander aimlessly, allowing my heart to lead me in the direction I should go. It's not until the neighborhoods transition from the frenzied atmosphere of Union Square to more residential, at least as residential as one can get in Manhattan, that I take stock of where I am. I don't need to even look at a cross street to know I'm in the Gramercy Park area. And it's not because the familiar entrance to the residents-only park is right in front of me. Only one section of this city boasts such stunning architecture, townhouses covered with ivy. As long as I can remember, it's been my dream to afford a place like this, an impossibility on a nurse's salary. I cross the street and meander along the perimeter of the park, basking in the brisk air. Although the temperature during the day has warmed up now that it's May, nighttime can still be chilly. I run my hand along the metal fence, my fingers tracing each spike. It's oddly symbolic of life. Ups and downs. Walls keeping people out. Doors trapping people in. Outsiders wanting a taste of what it's like inside. Insiders wanting nothing more than to have the simple life of those beyond the walls. I wonder if it's possible to ever achieve true happiness. I wonder if it's possible for me to be happy. As I near the gate, I continue the same up and down movement, stopping when my finger doesn't meet with metal as it should. I turn, squinting, noticing the door didn't click shut after the last person left. The practical voice in my head tells me to pull it closed and continue on my stroll through Manhattan. But I can't ignore the other voice, the one shouting at me that it's a sign, a beacon directing me forward. I bring a hand up to the door, electricity vibrating through me the instant it lands on the metal. I pause, then push on the gate, expelling a breath when it squeaks open. I duck inside, then ensure the door is closed behind me before venturing farther into the park that's remained like a dream to me for years. Now I know why they've kept it private. It's serene, tranquil, a complete change from the rest of Manhattan, the only source of illumination that of the stars and ambient light coming from the surrounding buildings and street lamps. My friends would flip if they learned I was walking through a park after 2 in the morning. A park I'd snuck into upon noticing the door had been left ajar. I can hear their voices in my head, particularly Evie's, telling me this is how all episodes of Criminal Minds begin. But something calls to me to head deeper inside, spying a bench along a cobblestone path. I lower myself, allowing my feet a short reprieve, allowing my brain a short reprieve, too. If I didn't think I'd get arrested for vagrancy, I'd sleep on this bench tonight. I don't want to leave this park. Don't want to go back to reality. In here, I'm in a bubble where I don't have to live with the decisions of my past or the uncertainty of my future. And I miss my bubble. I close my eyes, leaning my head back, breathing in the city air. I imagine I'm sitting on the dock at Graham's lake house, the moon shining brightly above me. Asher strumming a sweet song on his guitar, his gentle voice lulling me to sleep. The fantasy in my mind feels so real. I expect to be met with the darkness of the lake in front of me when I open my eyes. Instead, I'm still in New York, still unable to forget the one man I can never have, still wishing things were different. On a long sigh, I reluctantly raise myself from the bench, but stop when the same melodic guitar strains filter around me. I freeze, not breathing, expecting it to go away as I return from my fantasy. But it doesn't. My heart rate increasing, I pad on light feet along the path and toward the music. It isn't loud by any stretch of the imagination. For anyone walking along the sidewalk abutting the park, they'd probably think it just ambient music coming from one of the many townhouses. But I'd recognize that sound anywhere. Just like you can distinguish the shuffle of a familiar pair of footsteps walking through a house. I can pick out Asher's unique pattern of strumming a guitar. I'm sure of it. I round a bend, stopping abruptly when Asher comes into view. Sitting on a bench, one leg propped up on the other to help balance his guitar. His fingers move along the strings with dexterity and ease as he sings the same song he did earlier tonight. Not wanting to interrupt, I remain in the darkness, falling under his spell as I admire him from afar, like I did so often when I dated Jesse. It takes every ounce of resolve I have not to break down in tears at his heartfelt lyrics, singing to the ghost of the love he once shared with me. When the final note rings out and a stark silence falls over us, every little sound seems amplified. The increasing inhale of my lungs, the racing beat of my heart, the gripping pain of regret. Why did you do it? My breath hitches, and I'm unsure if he's speaking to me or the metaphorical me. Then, somehow, his eyes shift to mine, our gazes locking. On trembling legs, I step out from the shadows, walking toward him. How did you know I was here? He blows out a laugh that borders on sardonic. Don't you realize by now? I shake my head. Realize what I feel you. Izzy, he admits in a choked voice. In here. He brings his hand to his chest. I thought I was losing my mind earlier when I walked into that club and felt a vice squeezing my heart. I was ready to have Jesse take me to the ER to see if I was having a heart attack or something. It was the same way I felt. He trails off, but I know what he was about to say. It was what happened when he walked into that bar and realized I wouldn't be coming. Then when I saw you, I realized why it felt like someone was trying to rip my damn heart out of my chest. Asher. I step toward him, but he holds up his hand, stopping me. Just tell me why you did it. Did what he looks at me through sad eyes. You know what? I ponder my response, ruminating it in my mind. I could keep lying to him. Make him think what we had wasn't real in order to protect him from making a mistake he'd come to regret. But he'd never believe it. He always could see through all my lies. You know why? My gaze unwavering. I walk toward him once more. This time he doesn't halt my advance. I do. He stands as I approach, closing the last bit of distance between us. His scent wraps around me, a rush of adrenaline running through me at the familiarity of being in his universe. You did what you thought you had to, what you always do when facing a path that scares you shitless. And what's that? You fold. Either way I looked at it, I had a losing hand. He grasps my chin, lifting my eyes to his. I don't pull back from his touch. Instead, I crave it, need it, am desperate for it. Is that all I am to you? A losing hand. I swallow hard, the truth falling from my lips with ease. I don't know what you are to me. All I know is I'll do anything to protect your relationship with your brother. Even if it means hurting me, he asks in a strained voice. You'll find another woman. You can't find another brother. He peers at me with intense eyes, his grip on my chin tightening to a point that's almost painful before releasing me with a strangled cry. walking away. His fingers burrow into his hair and tug at it. When he returns his gaze to me, it's fiery, animalistic. Everything that's been missing from my life for too long now. Do you honestly think that Jesse's your only brother? Not that. Do you honestly believe I'd ever find another woman like you? That I'd ever want another woman who isn't you? He speaks with such passion, such zeal. It makes me want to lose myself in his arms. But no amount of need, of hunger, of love can rewrite the stars. No matter what. Jesse got to me first. I wish I could give you the answer you want. Asher. But we can't exist outside of the bubble. Our love can't exist outside of the bubble. You felt it in Vegas when Jesse showed up, yanking us back to reality. The same thing happened when we left the lake house. We were yanked back to the real world. We just didn't realize it at the time. Don't get me wrong. I love our bubble. I'd give anything to stay in that bubble for the rest of my days. We can, he says desperately, taking my hands in his. If you'd stop pushing me away. If you'd take a risk for once in your life. At what cost? I search his eyes for an answer. Then I sigh, pulling away from him. I love that you're a dreamer. But that's not me. My life is ruled by science, by practical considerations. It's always what has spoken to me. I like that an answer is either black or white. No in between, no gray area. That's what the bubble is, and in between. We can't live there, not without paying the price. I turn from him and walk away, needing to get out of his presence before I allow his fantasy to consume me once more. It can't happen. Not again. I've already fallen for it twice now. I can't do it a third time. Do you love me? He shouts before I can take more than a few steps. I stop and face him, mouth agape. Why did he have to ask this question? He strides toward me, determined, pausing when he's a few inches away, chest heaving, Adam's apple bobbing up and down. Do you love me? He repeats. I avert my eyes, despite the lack of light. It's another layer of protection against the way Asher can peer straight to my soul. I don't know why that, goddammit. Izzy, just answer the question. He thunders. If there were any walls surrounding us, I imagine him punching his fist into it. No more lies, no more games, no more making yourself unhappy just to salvage my relationship with Jesse. Do you love me? I know what I want to say, what I should say in order to keep my distance. This is my opportunity to push him away, give him a reason to forget about me. But as I peer into his mesmerizing eyes that have always gazed upon me with more love and dedication than any other man, I'm not sure I want him to forget about me. I told Chloe I needed a sign, a boomerang, some big cosmic intervention telling me it's okay, that he's worth the risk, that despite this body-crushing fear, it will all end in a fiery mess. It will be worth it. Even I have to admit that running into Asher not once, but twice in less than 24 hours is a huge blinking sign that could rival those in Las Vegas. Boomerang. He exhales, every inch of him relaxing before he returns his blazing eyes to mine. To anyone else. It would be an innocuous word, but not to us. When I saw you scribbled that on the origami dove you left for me at the bar back in March, I was confused, or maybe just blinded by having my heart broken. But after a few days, I realized what you were trying to tell me, that you were scared, and if we were meant to be together, we'd find our way back to each other. He clutches my face in his hands, his hold unwavering. Tonight is proof we have, that we'll always find our way back to each other. But I need to know, are you still scared, fucking petrified? So scared that you're going to keep running, knowing this damn boomerang is real, that our love will keep finding you. I'm scared of what being with you means. For you, for us. I've been drowning in my feelings for a long time now, and it terrified me. I worried you'd eventually decide I'm not worth the risk. That's why I kept coming up for air, kept pushing you away. And now he adjusts his stance. our bodies moving closer to each other with every beat of our hearts. I'd rather drown with you than breathe with anyone else. It's about damn time. His voice comes out like a growl as he presses his hand against my lower back and tugs my body against his jaw tightening, the promise of his kiss a heartbeat away. Now tell me. Tell you what? Those words, the ones I told you to keep safe until we were outside of the bubble. I'm never going back to the bubble. Not with you. I want you all the time. So if you're ready to have more than just the bubble, I need those words, your promise, your devotion. I need to know you're mine, that I can finally have all of you, your body. He brings his lips to my neck, brushing the skin, your soul. His mouth moves to my cheek, leaving another delicate kiss. Then he frames my face once more, making it so I'm unable to escape, to hide, to run. Your heart. I need your heart more than anything. You've always possessed my heart, Asher. Always. I pause, steeling myself. Then my mouth curves into a smile. I love you. He exhales a long breath, the strain on his muscles falling off him in waves. You have no idea how long I've waited to hear you say those words. I think I do. His fingers thread into my hair, tilting my head back. He licks his lips, his gaze trained on my mouth, desire flickering within. Finally, his lips land on mine. I sigh into our kiss, a spark shooting through me at my first taste of him after several months. I'd expected our first kiss to be an intense explosion of want, need, and lust, but it's not. It's beautiful, respectful, honest. Everything Asher is to me. When he gradually pulls away, his fingers trace over the lines of my face, stopping on my lower lip and brushing the pad of his thumb over the swollen flesh. A devilish glint fills his eyes as he watches my reaction to his touch. Let's go home. I smile at the meaning in his request. Most men would say, come home with me or some other variation, simply wanting me to come to their bed for the night. Not Asher. His invitation is authentic. He wants me to come home, to him, where I belong. Lifting myself onto my toes, I feather my lips against his. With you, I am home. Chapter 30. Asher, slow down, I whisper, shout as we rush out of the park. I'm not exactly wearing the best footwear for making a mad dash up the street. He slows his steps, focusing on my heel-clad feet, pausing. He seems to weigh his options. Then he slings his guitar over his body, shifting the instrument so it rests against his back. Before I can react, he sweeps me into his arms in a cradle hold. What are you doing? I squeal. I can't wait another second to have you. If this gets you into my bed quicker, then it's what I need to do. You act like a convict who's just been released and is about to get laid for the first time since getting locked up. That's exactly what I feel like. We turn the corner, the hotel coming into view. Placing my feet back onto the ground, he cups my cheeks. When I walked into that bar and realized you ran from me, it felt like a prison sentence. He brings his lips toward mine, covering my mouth, his kiss sweet but brief. And when you refused to answer any of my calls, texts, emails, it felt like the judge had handed down the most inhumane sentence possible. Life without you is the worst punishment imaginable, and I don't want to go back. Please, he chokes out, don't make me go back to that. My heart on the verge of bursting with love. I slam my lips against his, desperate for everything he'll give me. His pleasure, his pain, his devotion, his fear, his fury, his love. A heady groan ripping from his throat. He pushes me against the brick townhouse we're standing in front of, pressing his hips into me. I gasp, an unquenchable thirst filling me. Sensing my need, he lifts me up, forcing my legs around his midsection as he tears his lips from my mouth, nipping and sucking his way along my jawline, throat, collarbone. I throw my head back, surrendering to his touch, his warmth, his everything. Inside, Now he growls as he pulls back, chest heaving, eyes frantic. He helps me find my footing, then clasps my hand in his. I start toward the hotel, but he yanks me in the opposite direction. Asher. What? I'm not staying at that hotel. Where are you staying? It had better not be a long cab ride. His lips quirk up into a smirk. Not at all. In fact, it's within walking distance. Then lead the way, gladly, squeezing my hand. He turns toward the townhouse beside us, ascending the steps. Here, is this an Airbnb or something? With a chuckle, he punches a code into the keyless lock. When the door buzzes, he opens it, leading me inside. A dozen questions swirl in my mind as I marvel at the posh surroundings of the Gramercy Park townhome. I can only imagine what this place costs a night. It seems a bit much for one person, but I guess when you're Asher York, whose latest album has remained on top of the charts for over a month, you can spend money on stuff like staying in a ridiculously expensive townhouse. A hand on the small of my back. He steers me up a short flight of steps. My feet scream for relief, and I kick off my heels, dropping my purse onto the floor beside them. When I finally pause long enough to take in the living space, my jaw drops. Not at the gorgeous built-in bookcases surrounding an inviting fireplace with reading chairs placed in front of it. Not at the stunning chandelier hanging from the ornate ceiling. And not at the large screen TV mounted over the fireplace playing the sound of music at a low volume. Instead, I'm taken aback by the baby grand piano sitting in the center of the room. To most, it would just be a piano, something one would expect to see in a townhome in such an exclusive area of the city. But I recognize this piano, each scratch, each nick, each worn-out key. Asher. I exhale, my eyes searching his. He lifts the guitar over his head, propping it up against a couch. I told you, I wanted to take you home. This is my home. I arch a disbelieving brow. This is your home. He nods. Closed on it a few weeks ago. What about LA? He palms my lower back, dragging my body against his. It wasn't where my heart was. It was here. Still is. He touches his lips to mine in a beautiful kiss, the gesture causing my body to flood with warmth. I'm surprised Grams didn't mind parting with this piano, I murmur when he pulls away. Let's just say I made her an offer she couldn't refuse. Is that right? I ask breathily. Not really. He winks. I asked. She agreed. I roll my eyes. You certainly drive a hard bargain. Oh, darling. He presses his body against mine. You have no idea how hard I can drive. Laughter consumes me. Oh, darling. I imitate him to the best of my ability, but I still can't quite copy the amount of soul he exudes. I bring my mouth to his, nibbling on his bottom lip. I have a pretty good idea, I murmur. But maybe you should give me a reminder of exactly how hard you can drive. He thrusts his pelvis against me so I can feel how much he wants me. As incredible as that sounds, I'll have to take a rain check. Because we're going slow tonight. Slow. He nods as he angles toward me. When his lips land on the sensitive flesh of my neck, I moan, my eyes fluttering closed. Yes, Isabella, slow, torturously so. I need to worship you, take my time with you, make love to you. His tongue traces a line up to my earlobe, swirling a circle before he nibbles. Dine on you as if you're the finest delicacy known to man. When he pulls back, intense brown eyes meet mine as he holds my face in his firm grip. Because to me, that's what you are. A rare treat men would travel miles just to have one sample of. Yet you're all mine. Yours, I murmur as his mouth finds mine. Always. He breathes into me, causing a flicker in my chest. This isn't the first time we've kissed, yet that's what it feels like. I've let go of my fears, my inadequacies, my apprehensions. Grams was right. True love has a way of finding you, regardless of how far you run. I'm glad it finally found me, knocked some sense into me, made me open my eyes and allow this man to want me, love me, choose me. Hold on, he whispers against my mouth. With a smile, I wrap my arms around his neck. He picks me up, carrying me up 2 flights of narrow stairs. When we cross the threshold into the master suite, he sets me down, ensuring I have my footing. I float my gaze around my surroundings, which are in a bit of disarray, as I predicted them to be. Sorry, he offers as he rushes around the room, picking up discarded clothes and tossing them into the hamper in the far corner. I hadn't expected company. He takes a guitar off the impressive 4-poster bed, a view of Gramercy Park out of the bay windows directly in front of it. And my cleaner hasn't been here yet this week. I think she's coming Monday. In a flurry, he straightens the lines of the duvet, smoothing out the impression from where I imagine he'd lain earlier, strumming his guitar. He shuffles sheets of lined staff paper together, assembling them into a pile, then tosses them onto a nearby reading chair. If you'd rather, we can go to one of the guest rooms, or I'll book us a suite at whatever hotel you'd like. I place my hand on his bicep, stopping him from fussing. My lips quirk into a smile as I drag my body closer to his. It's fine. Actually, it's perfect. Messy and chaotic. Like you. He blows out a breath. He licks his lips. I guess I'm a little nervous. Is that stupid? I swallow hard. I'm nervous too. It feels different. Doesn't it? He laughs shakily. It's not like either one of us hasn't had sex before. It's not like we haven't had sex with each other. But this time, I lift myself onto my toes, attempting to ease his trepidation with a kiss. It feels different for me, too. It feels right. Yeah. I smile, like all the pieces have snapped into place. And this time, I hope the pieces stay where they belong. I hope you stay where you belong. And where's that, I ask playfully. Here, with me. Always and forever. Always and forever. I exhale, sealing our promise to each other. He digs his hands into my hair, holding my head in place, consuming me. The instant his tongue sweeps against mine, I moan, lightheaded. I fist his t-shirt, yanking him as close to me as possible. But it's not enough. Our clothes an unwelcome barrier. He tears his mouth from mine, wild eyes staring down at me. I need to get you out of this dress. I think that can be arranged. I step back, about to reach behind me to lower the zipper when Asher grabs my arm. Wait. I peer at him, panicked over the idea he's changed his mind. Then his expression softens and he waggles his brows. I'd like the pleasure of undressing you. Is that right? He slowly nods, dropping his hold on me. That's right, giving him a flirtatious grin. I face away from him. Get on with it then. I stare ahead, expecting to feel him work the zipper within seconds, but I don't. There's nothing. The anticipation causing my heart to pound, breathing to increase, muscles to tighten. Finally, his fingers brush along my nape, pushing my hair over my shoulder. I remain still, waiting for his next touch. It comes in mere seconds, his hand palming my stomach and pulling me into him. I moan as he grinds against me, teasing. The heat of him so close is sweet agony, blissful torture, perfect affliction. Something wrong, he asks in a coy voice. No. I exhale, my breathing ragged. I squeeze my thighs together, trying to dull the ache building inside. Quite the opposite, actually. Oh, really? He circles his hips with more intensity, causing me to whimper. Really? Good. He removes his hand from my stomach, gripping the zipper. His motions languid. He lowers it, each second painful in its anticipation. I'm ready to rip the damn thing off, desperate to feel Asher again. But just when I don't think I can take it any longer, a chill whispers from my neck all the way down to the top of my panties. Turn around. I take several measured steps, my heart thundering when my eyes meet his. He pushes my dress down my arms, allowing the material to pool at my feet before I step out of it. Despite the fact I'm standing in front of him in a black lacy bra and matching panties, his gaze never strays from mine. "Your turn," he murmurs, the heat in his sensual stare prickling along my skin. I reach for the hem of his t-shirt, lifting it over his head, dropping it to the floor. I take the opportunity to admire his body. I run my hand along the grooves of the tattoo that extends from his back, over his shoulders, and onto his chest. My fingers continue down his torso, his shoulders rising and falling in a quicker rhythm as I near his waist. I loosen his belt and unbutton his jeans, lowering the zipper. Returning my eyes to his, I push his jeans down his legs, noticing he's not wearing any briefs. I quirk a brow. "Commando. Came in useful tonight, didn't it?" I palm his erection. I'd say, with a growl. His mouth clamps over mine, his hand forcefully gripping my hip as he backs me against the bed. His kiss leaving me breathless, thoughtless, soulless. He lowers me onto the mattress, his kiss turning from ravenous and eager to respectful and loving. He cups my cheek in his calloused hand, a stark contradiction to the desperation with which he just kissed me. But this is what I need from him. This is who he is. Gentle, compassionate, benevolent, but also hungry, passionate, salacious. And I'm the lucky woman who gets to experience the many sides of Asher York. And not the Asher York the public fawns and screams over on a nightly basis as he entertains the masses, but my Asher York, the same Asher York who built a snowman with me when we were snowed in, the same Asher York whose eyes grew so fevered, so impassioned as I watched him teach a classroom full of at-risk children about the fundamentals of music, his excitement matching their own when they grasped a concept. The same Asher York whose mere smile in the early mornings at Graham's Lake House lit me on fire more than the most intimate of Jesse's touches. That should have been the only clue I needed to know I was with the wrong man. Then again, maybe this is the path we needed to take. Maybe our journey needed to be fraught with turmoil, heartache, and anguish, so when we finally found our way to each other, we wouldn't take it for granted. "Make love to me," I whisper, gladly. His husky voice hits me deep in my core, my skin tingling with the promise of his touch. And if I know Asher, he won't leave a single inch of me unexplored. He'll make love to my mind, my body, my soul, ruining me for any other man. But there isn't any other man for me. Hovering over me, his eyes lock with mine. There's something so vulnerable about his expression, so different from the confident and assured man who takes the stage nearly every night. He brushes a tendril of hair behind my ear, admiring my complexion. "I love you, Isabella, and I love you." He exhales, briefly hanging his head, allowing my words to bathe him in comfort. Then he seals my mouth with his as he brings his arousal up to me and pushes inside. I close my eyes, reveling in this sensation of fullness. Asher's always had a unique ability to push my body higher than I thought possible, to make me feel more complete than I thought possible. But that's nothing compared to the absolute perfection washing over me as he moves so gently, so tenderly, so lovingly. "I love you," I repeat, wrapping my arms and legs around his body as he buries his head in the crook of my neck. Each thrust hitting me deeper than the last, each push propelling me higher. "I love you. I love you. I love you." With each declaration, my heart swells, my body shivers, my eyes spill over with more tears. This moment bigger than I imagined. No matter what happens, one thing is certain. This is where I belong. Asher is where I belong.